Hey, it's Benji Cole, son of Al Cole from CBS Radio and host of People of Distinction, the talk that gives an in-depth view of some of the most dynamic, intelligent, and successful people on the planet. Run to our website, peopleofdistinction.org for more info, or you can always email me directly at benji@alcoleenterprises.com. And on the line with us today, we have Renate Schalk Schreiner. We're going to be discussing her amazing children's narrative, SOS, Save Our Seas. Now, it's available for purchase through Amazon, as well as barnesandnoble.com, pretty much wherever books are sold. You're going to want to head on over there. You're going to want to pick up your copies. And please believe it, people, SOS is not the only book that Renate has written. Now, there is a series of books following this main protagonist. Book 1 is called Welcome to Olli's Undersea World. Book 1, Meet King Neptune's Family. Then we have Welcome to Olli's Undersea World. Book 2, There is a Secret in the Abyss. SOS is actually a rebranding of Book 3. And then we have, of course, the last one, Welcome to Olli's Undersea World. Book 4, Spectacular Picnic. All of which are available for purchase through Amazon as well as Barnes & Noble. Head on over there today, pick up your copies, and get lost in these magnificent novels. Your children are going to thank you for it, I promise you. And before we go any further, I want to take this opportunity and point out that Renate was brought to our network, People of Distinction, today by one of the best advertising firms in the business. And you already know I'm talking about Author Reputation Press. So listen to me. If you're a writer out there and you've spent all this time and dedication creating your masterpiece, and now you find yourself in a precarious position because now you need help moving that book you just finished writing. Well, I'm going to give you some fantastic advice. Contact ARP. People, they're one of the best in the business to do it, and this is exactly what they specialize in. So head on over to authorreputationpress.com today and gather all of the ways that they're going to help maximize your creative endeavors. And listen, it is a true pleasure to have Renate here on the line. Now, her book, SOS, Save Our Seas, right there in the subtitle, well, you got an idea of what we're discussing today. Okay, this is a fun, educational narrative for children primarily, but listen, I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of adults that I know that could benefit from this book as well, okay? This is all going to be around the importance of love, care, and respect for everyone. Now, of course, in the book, we're going to be meeting some undersea creatures here, and we got to learn to love and respect them and keep our oceans clean. But an underlying message that can be derived from it when you're reading between the lines is how that same love, understanding, and respect should be paid to your fellow humans as well. I mean, this book is something special for your children and something that you as a parent out there are going to love embarking upon with them. Okay, they're going to learn about some new animals under the sea, and they're going to learn the importance of keeping our beaches clean. Because people, listen, it is astounding the amount of trash and pollution that is in our oceans, and it's all of our responsibilities, right? It's not one particular person. We all play a part in this, and we all need to do our duty in making sure that we're cleaning up after ourselves and we're keeping our oceans clean. And at the end of the day, Renate is the expert. She's written the book. She's created this magnificent series, and she's going to be able to articulate everything much better than I ever could. So let's bring her here with us. Renate, first and foremost, welcome to People of Distinction, and thank you very much for being a guest. How are you doing today?
I am doing fine, and thank you, Mr. Cole, for this interview. I am looking forward to it, and I enjoyed it, and I love what you said already. Wow. I couldn't have said it better myself, I tell you.
Well,
Very
Renate,
wonderful.
this is a true pleasure, okay? And I know you said you couldn't have said it better yourself. Well, listen, I got a secret for you. All I did was follow the roadmap you've already established. So you did a magnificent job of creating this book and setting it up so plainly for me to be able to interpret and follow suit. So thank you very much for writing your books. And thank you even more for being a guest here with us to discuss them. Now, I know we have a lot of information to cover, but before we jump into the book, Renate, tell us a little bit more about your background, please.
I was born in East Prussia in Germany. And that part, it doesn't exist anymore. It was, after World War II, it was divided between Russia and Poland. But I was born just before World War I started. So, you know, I'm an oldie, but I'm a goodie. And so then my dad died in Russia in 1942, and then Mom, Grandma, my sister, and I, we fled from there to the west part of Germany. We didn't want to get caught in the war.
Yeah.
It took us about a year. Then I went to school there. I became a kindergarten teacher. I worked several years in Germany. Then in 1964, my friend and I came to the United States for 2 years as domestic servants. And after the 2 years, well, then I went to a school, became a Montessori teacher, and worked at that school for over 20 years. She went back to Germany with her family then now. And then I got married, and with my husband, we moved around. I lived in Hawaii, I lived in Tennessee, I lived in San Jose, and now I live in the beautiful Napa Valley at the end of, in Calistoga, end of Napa Valley. And life is good. I have lots of friends here. I live in a senior park, and wonderful friends, neighbors, and terrific management. Mm-hmm. So what can I say? Life is good.
There you have it. Renate, thank you very much for articulating all of that. And listen, we're going to have to invite you back onto the network, okay? Not to discuss any of your books in further detail, but just to discuss your background, because my goodness, with all of that traveling, I'm sure you have stories for days, and we would love to hear them, okay? And really embark upon that. Well, listen,
I have stories for 13 years, and many of them are personal stories from my background.
Yeah.
So if I wanted to write my history, I only have to open my stories, and there they are.
Yes,
I've been around.
Absolutely.
You
Listen.
can say I've been around the block a few times.
I love it. I love it, and we would love to hear all about them. But of course, the anchor for today's interview is all about your book, SOS, Save Our Seas. Renate, without further ado, tell us a little bit more about it.
Well, as I said before, I really never wanted to write a book. But a friend of mine, she always read my stories, and she put a little red marker on there, which I loved, that I knew I had to do something over again. She had a email address, and that was O for octopus and Y for yo-yo. So when she told me that, I said, oh, I can see it now. Olli, the octopus, plays with 8 yo-yos. He gets tangled up, and he has to call his ocean friends. And so she said, go home, write a story. So I sat at the computer, and I said, okay, now what? I knew what I wanted to write, but I didn't know what style or anything. So I had the feeling my mom, who was deceased, and she was the poet in the family, she was beside me, and she said, you go, girl, you can do this. Mm-hmm. And I said, yes, ma'am, I will. So out came the stories in rhyming. That's how all I know when poems had to be rhymed when I was growing up. Anyway, then from there, I went, since Olli now was about 5, being a teacher, I wanted him to go to school too and think that school is so cool, like his guppy friends and the mermaid teacher too, because I wanted to bring the little closer to the children. And once they fell in love with Olli, they could probably pay more attention to school, hopefully, and say, yeah, it's cool. And then anyway, from there, he, as I said, he met his guppy friends, 11, and then King Neptune's oldest daughter was the teacher, and they had many adventures together, either Olli by himself, or with the guppies, or with the teacher. And so he met many animals, and he was very curious animals. and loving and lovable. And so he met somebody new, and then he wanted to know, where do you live? What's your name? And all of these things and that he interested him. And most of the time, he didn't meet any resistance. They told him, and like met the turtle. Yeah, but you're not a fish. How come? Who are you? You have no fins. And then that turtle has to say, yeah, I don't have any use for fins. I need legs and stuff like that. So he met many friends. And there was I dedicated this book to my friend who just recently died, and I went according to what she wanted to have in the book. So there is a turtle, as I said, and there's starfish, and then there are dolphin. And the dolphin is giving birth, and they can watch that. And then there are a Mexican fish, and they notice that they don't all speak the same language, but the mermaid understands. And so then even a bee is in there. And when my friend, we both loved the story of Maya the bee, and I saw the cartoon in Germany, and I saw it here in California in English. And she said, "Can Maya the bee be in the story?" I said, "Well, that's a bit of a stretch, but I'll try." So I didn't call it Maya, of course. I called it Susie B. And the bee, of course, she was independent bee. She didn't want to go and collect nectar and go to the hive and do that. That was boring. She wanted adventure. So she went along the beach because she heard that was good nectar. Well, while she was resting on a leaf, a gust came and blew her right over the edge of the sea. But at that time, Olli came up. He put her on his arm and said, "Who are you? What are you?" So she had to explain that. He said, "Well, now I'm here, but I'm hungry. Now I want to go back. Now, how do I do that?" I said, "Well, no problem. I'll just throw you back." So he did. With the leaf, he threw her back to the beach. And so another friend. And so he had friends everywhere. And he always wanted to know what they're all about. And always kind to them and respectful to them and loved it. And they all fell in love with him right away, too. And so when SOS came along, well, the rebranded story by Author Reputation Press, it was, after all, there are quite a few stories in there before the animals that they meet and love. And then the last story in that book was the message I wanted to get across to children and adults. Please do not pollute our oceans. As the guppies at Olli said, well, how can we save our oceans? We're just a few sea creatures, and that would be a big fight. If the humans don't seem to care, what can we do? Well, then they figure out they're knotting a net and going along the shore and collecting all the trash that they find, and then they drag that big, huge net to the shore. And Olli has then wrote the message on a big sea leaf with the ink that he has in his body. Dear humans, please keep the ocean clean. Our lives depend on you. And this is the right thing to do. We all think we should, this planet, we all can be respectful to everyone. We are writing for all animals in the ocean because we all do care. Thank you very much. And that message I wanted to bring out more, which unfortunately with the title that I gave book 3 didn't seem to come out because that book wasn't thought as much because it probably didn't speak to the adults that were choosing the book. And then at the end, at the book, on the back, I said, thank you for getting to know Olli and his friends and the teacher and their way to help themselves to keep the ocean clean. And you can help too. Olli and his friends will thank you very much, and so will I, the author of the books. That's
You know, Renate, I love what you're doing here, and I love what this book symbolizes. People, as I mentioned when we first began, the education is real, but it's layered, right? And what you've experienced by hearing her response, not only, of course, SOS, Save Our Seas, talking about the trash and the pollution that a lot of times we need to be more considerate of. That is very important. But I love when it comes to the series on a whole. As she mentioned, so there's different animals from the sea. So not only is it education from that standpoint, you're learning about different animals, but also she even made an emphasis to bring in some different cultural differences. So not only is it different animals, but different cultures as well. And when we mimic that or really compare that to our everyday lives, why this is important for your children, you know, I remember growing up, and it's something that I don't really think is talked about or discussed anymore, but I remember being very young and hearing constantly in school that America is a melting pot. America is filled with all of these different people from different parts of the world and different backgrounds. And when I was growing up, it was actually celebrated. It was cherished. It was admired that America was this quote unquote melting pot of cultures.
Right.
It's not really something that is discussed anymore. I mean, I'm going to go down the rabbit hole now, and of course, it's not pertinent for today's interview, but people, I mean, I don't think I'm too far-fetched by saying a lot of times nowadays, it almost seems as if America is trying to close itself off from outside world and from other countries. And again, listen, there's a lot of areas of gray. It's not so black and white, but that is very disheartening to me. And I look at so many occurrences nowadays, and I see that that is not the case anymore for a lot of people in America. And when I look at this book and what it represents, it brings us back to that celebratory stance where we want to cherish differences in backgrounds. We want to cherish different cultures and celebrate them. That, I think, is so important. Not only for your children, but for the future of our world. There's so much in that notion that I can get behind, and I know a lot of you can as well. This is something that is much bigger than a literary creation. This is a movement. This is a lifestyle change. And this is why you have to head on over to Amazon and Barnes & Noble and pick up your copies. Because this is one you're going to want to add to your shelf. Okay. Renate, I want to...
Can I say something?
Yes, please.
You know, while the stories are written, and of course my vivid imagination is in there, but I did research and I did put very little facts about each animal in there, just to give them enough interest. And if the adults have been interested in those, because I Googled yesterday about octopuses, and can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Do you know how many brains an octopus has?
Renate, I'd be lying if I said I did.
It has 9 brains.
Wow.
One between the eyes, and each tentacle has one. And it also has 3 hearts that take care of his blue blood. And the octopus also is older than the dinosaurs. The octopuses were around then. The dinosaurs are not anymore, but the octopuses have learned to adjust to each environment that they were in, and they're still here. And they are amazing animals, are very amazing. I love them, no matter what. Some people think, oh, they're ugly looking. Well, so that's okay. You don't always look at the outside, you look at the inside. Mm-hmm. And they can be so affectionate. Unfortunately, in many cartoons and so, the octopus is mean or whatever to fit the story better, but they're not really mean. Yeah. I mean, there might be some, but I haven't seen that yet. But the ones that I like, they're not mean, especially Absolutely. Not my little Olli. No.
Renate, I'm telling you, this is something special, what you've done here. People, you got to add this to your shelf. I'm telling you, this is something you and your family are going to love. You know, Renate, as we start to close out of this fantastic interview, the only other question that I can think to ask here is, you know, my background is in filmmaking, so I'm an individual that loves to live in my imagination. And as it appears through your books, you are someone similar, right?
You said you're a filmmaker? Wow, now that would be the ultimate for my Olli. He would love to be a ham on the screen. Believe me, he would. And I would love to see that. Oh, yes. I've been dreaming. That was my ultimate dream for a long time. Mm-hmm. And I've been led there, you know, to here and there, and then said, oh, geez, spend my money and nothing happens. Oh, I would love to see Netflix or whatever. And I'm a Disney fan. Oh, my gosh, am I, ever since I know about Disney.
Absolutely.
So,
pertaining to your book, SOS, Save Our Seas, if you could enter the world of that book, which page would you choose to land on and why?
You know, in order to understand the last page 2, which is the story and the title, I think I would go back then and do a few more so then they would know a little bit more animals and know why Olli and the guppies react the way they do in that last story. Mm-hmm. But if I need to choose, then I would say the last story where Olli and the guppies and the teacher are very concerned about their ocean and their life in the ocean and what's going to happen to them. Yeah. And by the way, I have more ideas to write. If my eyes don't fail me, then maybe I can do it, and even have an idea of how maybe an alien can help our oceans. And there is an idea brewing in my head, but I don't know if it ever will come to that. But the ideas are there.
We are hoping that does, because what you've already done with just these 4 books is truly magnificent.
Yes.
So people, hopefully many more on the horizon. You know where you got to go. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, pick up your copies today. Remember, this is not the only book. We have Welcome to Olli's Undersea World, Book 1, Meet King Neptune's Family. We have Book 2, There is a Secret in the Abyss. Remember, SOS, Save Our Seas is a republication of Book 3, so make sure you're getting that one so you get the most up-to-date copy. And then we have Book 4, Spectacular Picnic. Head on over there, get lost in all of these books, because they're truly a gift. And you know, talking about gifts, when you're heading on over to Amazon and Barnes & Noble and you purchase copies for yourself, get another one for a gift for someone else, because this is something that needs to be on everyone's bookshelf. And of course, you have Renate Schalk Schreiner to thank for all of it. Renate, this has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for being a guest on People of Distinction.
Thank you. It was a great, great pleasure to talk to you. Believe me, I do. I love how enthusiastic you can be, and I love it.